Greatness shows up after you're tired. Let's say it one more time, man. Greatness shows up after you're tired, not when you're tired. And breakthroughs don't happen until you reach your breaking point. Been there many times, man, at that place I didn't want to go on, and I realized that strength can't develop until your strength is gone. You got to keep pushing, because character and courage is developed or lost when you decide to keep going or to give up. You see, that's the point. You got to stop, and you got to realize that's your breakthrough coming right there, because when others that are around you won't, you will be the one that goes ahead. Somebody has to step up and go a little bit farther. Is that somebody you? How many says that's me? I want to go a little farther.
Welcome to our show, Furthermore, where you're going to find education, motivation, and of course, inspiration. I'm Dr. Mark.
And I'm Dr. Michelle, and we are here to push you and encourage you to go a little bit farther in all aspects of your life, to do a little more, become a little more than you ever thought possible.
So education, as you know, is key, and information is king, but wisdom will always remain the same. So prepare yourself for the latest news and hottest headlines.
Truth bombs, amazing guests, relevant and impactful information, and life-changing plans. You are being prepared for the best days of your life.
So buckle those seat belts and put those tray tables in the upright position and prepare yourself for the greatest journey of your life.
Right here, right now.
On Furthermore. Hey, welcome to our show. We're pumped up. As you know, we're always going to push you to do a little bit more and achieve more and go a little bit further in life, because we're talking about all your aspects of life. And we really need to understand that it's all about this idea of hope, health, and freedom. These things are key for us to experiencing the optimal life that God intended for all of us. So as my wife get out there and we're walking around the block and exercising and doing our things all the time, we're thinking about hope, health, and freedom, and how we can better communicate that to each of you. The big subject matter tonight is keys to losing weight. The obesity crisis is ravaging our nation and ravaging our world. Obesity is the fastest growing non-communicable disease in the history of the world. And to understand the keys, there are 3 P's: perspective, a plan, and finally, a purpose. So we're going to go into all of those things tonight right here on Furthermore. So let's begin with these keys, sweetheart, and talk a little bit about perspective and why that's so important.
Well, the perspective when it comes to losing weight, it's really not about weight loss, it's about body composition. And we have to understand what body composition means. You know, weight loss, if you do the right things, then live in the right manner. Weight loss is a side effect of wellness. And understanding your body composition, what your body's made up of, how much muscle do you have? How much fat do you have? If you have fat in your organs, boy, that's a problem. That's going to predispose you to all chronic sickness and disease. That equals inflammation. Muscle, if you don't know how much muscle you have and you're actually trying to lose weight, what if you're actually losing the wrong kind of weight and you're losing muscle? Loss of muscle is frailty, and frailty is a disease. So we really have to start to come to understand that the scale is no longer a vital sign. We have to really dive deeper into understanding composition.
I threw our scale away at the clinic because I got tired of people being depressed because of mechanical advice. Perspective is the first key, because we need to get out of the mindset of just losing weight and begin to reshape not just our perspective, but reshape our bodies. Now, we need to have a good plan. The plan has got to be simple, effective, with short-term and long-term goals. Let's talk about plan.
Yes, we have to have small goals that can be accomplished either daily or weekly. And then, of course, we have to have our long-term goals, which end up being yearly or lifelong. You have to plan for something that you can actually achieve that has sustainable and long-term results. So make something small first and then watch it add up over time.
Give an example of planning properly. Proper planning is the way to achieve predictable goals. Failure to plan is planning to fail. Now, having said that, proper plans would look like this. If you want to put it on the idea of composition based upon a first perspective of body comp instead of weight loss, you might say something like this. I want to average for 6 months a % body fat reduction per month. Now, that's a good goal. It's even better than saying I want 1% per month, although that would be a short-term goal. 6 months is a little more longer term, but those are more realistic. If you lose more than that, and we've seen on average people that get into our plans using Kingdom Fuel, et cetera, and eating real food, they might lose, if they're very overweight, a lady could lose up to 1.5 to 2.5% body fat per month. Men now, we have more muscle, so we seem to have it easier. It doesn't let you off the hook, though, sir. Hear me clearly on that one. We sometimes lose between 2 and 4% per month. And I'm talking about if we're very, very overweight or have a lot of extra fat. So we talked about perspective. We talked about having a great plan. Now, this next one is important. Purpose.
Purpose. What is your why? We have to really ask ourselves, why do we want to lose weight? Your why is the statement of purpose that describes why you're doing what you're doing and why are you living the lifestyle that you're living. Oftentimes we have to go back to looking at the person looking back at you in the mirror and go, what is my why? Are you wanting to lose weight because you're wanting your wife to think you're more attractive or your mate to be more attractive?
Do you think I'm hot?
I think you're steaming, honey.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Jeez. We might have to just not do the show right now. I don't know, folks. I just got my wife all messed up. I did it intentionally, by the way.
Well, I know my why.
What is your why?
My why is I want to live a life that is sustainable to continue to motivate people to be their best every single day. And I want to be the best for you every single day.
I thought she just wanted to do it to look hot. Right. So, no, the bottom line is it okay to want to look good as part of a purpose? Well, yeah, there's nothing wrong with a healthy vanity. Let me make clear on that. If we do not have an awareness of us looking halfway decent, understand that this thing we walk around in is like our business card. I view it as my business card. My wife sometimes has a different perspective of that. She views it as her dirt suit or skin bag, right? But we need to have a good representation from the kingdom from which we came. If I'm viewing myself as a Christian, hear my heart, friends, with this, then I need to understand that when I walk around and walk in a room, that the way I look represents something. Interestingly enough, Hollywood and more liberal America has a better grip on the health part of life than probably Christian or more conservative America. We kind of neglect it. So you need to have an idea of what's doing from the outside, but on the inside, health is your greatest wealth, isn't it?
Absolutely. And weight loss is a side effect of wellness. If you're doing the right things by this dirt suit, this skin bag, this temple that we live in, every single day, those results are additive and you get to reap the rewards of those. Instead of creating inflammation in your system by putting negative things at the end of your fork, you can actually create vitality and wellness. Now, watch this commercial as it talks about keys to wellness.
This is not just another protein powder.
This is Kingdom Fuel, and it's so much more. The complete nutritional shake mix with our unique balance of clean protein, vitamins, minerals, and more.
So, fuel your life, your health, and enjoy peace of mind at sherwood.tv/fuel.
Well, that's like a marriage made in hell, isn't it? Like I look at the Food and Drug Administration and think, what do they have in common? Hippocrates, did he say, let drugs be thy medicine, or what did he say?
He said, let food be thy medicine, and let medicine be thy food.
Oh my gosh.
So therefore, the most important medical decision that you make every single day is at the end of your fork. We call it fork curls.
So we talk a lot about these idea of lifestyle principles that really it's not an option. They must be mastered. If you don't have time for wellness now, you're deciding to experience sickness both now and later. Health, as we said in segment 1, is your greatest wealth. It's actually cheaper to live healthy as opposed to the price of being sick. These lifestyle principles are critical.
Yes, and there are 4 lifestyle principles that you can actually do something about. The first one is nutrition. The most important medical decision that you make every single day is at the end of your fork. So we really need to pay attention there. Also, we've got to get adequate rest and sleep. If we're not resting, we're not recovering. And boy, that leads to being stressed out. That kind of gives me a headache. We've got to get adequate movement, exercise. It's said today that sitting is the new smoking. If we're not moving appropriately, we're affecting our genetics, our DNA in a negative way. And boy, just because you're born with a certain set of genes does not mean that you have to have a negative outcome.
Or big blue jeans.
Or big blue jeans.
Oversized blue jeans.
Boy, but we do really have to take care. Be mindful of the actions that we take every single day. We talk about it all the time. You have to be accountable to the man looking back at you in the mirror, because big government, boy, they have patterned our behaviors to make our lifestyle absolutely pitiful. We have become addicted to big food, big drugs, and we have been taught that we can't study the Bible on our own.
It's ridiculous. The whole idea of accepting responsibility is really taking back the responsibility from someone else over your life and owning it in your own life. It's about this idea of self-government. We have got to learn to hold ourselves accountable for the decision we make in lifestyle. And when we do, as we said earlier, our whys get clear. We begin to have a better, well-defined purpose. We begin to really understand a proper perspective. We begin to be more healthy. Folks, it's all about the idea of self-accountability and really self-governing. Check out this short video from a guy you probably have heard of or seen before.
It isn't obvious to me at all that you can establish a functional relationship with yourself unless you hold yourself responsible for your actions and you regard yourself as a free agent, in at least in some regards. Like, obviously we're not omniscient, omnipresent, and omnipotent. That's clearly the case. We're subject to stringent limitations, and there are situations in which our actions devolve into determinism. That's obvious neurophysiologically. It has to be the way the world works, is that once you execute a decision, there comes to a point where that decision is manifested in something approximating a deterministic manner. I think the evidence for that is overwhelming, but that doesn't mean that when you're looking out into the future and you're contemplating the many paths that you could take, that what you do to make your decisions then is deterministic in a simple manner. I think if that was the case, there'd be no need for consciousness at all. And then I look at how people react to themselves. Is we hold ourselves responsible despite our own inclination for the sins that we manifest, for the manners in which we wander off the path. People wake up at 4 a.m. and they berate themselves for the actions they took that they knew they shouldn't, and the inaction that they manifested when they knew they should have acted. And if we were masters in our own house without that central moral compass, there'd be no reason at all for us to wake up and torture ourselves to death with our moral inequity.
You see, really, when we hear that word from Jordan Peterson, we understand the idea of, you can't have a moral compass if you don't really know the author of the compass, and that would be God himself, right?
Yes, that's right. And if we all just sit back and realize that we have this moral compass inside of us, and we do have to follow the narrow path. It's up to us. Self-governing. Boy, people sit in front of me every single day and they say, well, I know that. Well, I know that. Well, I know that, but there's all of these excuses.
Everybody's got a but.
Everybody's got a but.
Think about it. Everybody's got a but, but we can do something different, man. We can start using Kingdom Fuel, for example. we developed this so people could have a step up, a leg up in the lifestyle thing, and it works, doesn't it?
Yes, Kingdom Fuel does a body good. And it's a great way to start a transformation in your life. If you're looking for a place to lose weight, if you're looking for a time to feel better, if you're just looking for a snack in the middle of the day instead of reaching for comfort food, boy, Kingdom Fuel is your go-to.
Oh my gosh. And folks, this is giving us the idea. So you can go right now to Sherwood.tv, and we got a special for you. You can put in Fuel 10 for 10% off. And again, it was $5 a meal, but if you put in 10% off, I think that lowers it down to just above $4 per meal, with the average price of American lunches being $13 and some change. You can save some money. You can get to the lifestyle path you want to, and you can begin to take personal responsibility for the rest of your life. The decisions you make today will affect tomorrow. If you want your tomorrow to look good, make the right decision today. Stay right with us. We come back, we're going to have a wonderful, it's that time again, constitutional teaching from Kris Ann Hall. Stay with us. She said to me, she's kind of one of the JAG people, one of the attorneys for the military. She said, Mark, the military today can't even fit in their uniform, much less fight a war. She said, I'm concerned about the safety of America because of how we're caring for and feeding our troops. It is so sad what we have in our country, and no one wants to talk about this.
I would say the first thing that I would want to bring to mind is for everybody is a quote from Samuel Adams. And he wrote, "No people will tamely surrender their liberties nor be easily subdued when knowledge is diffused and virtue is preserved." He said, on the contrary, when the people become universally ignorant and debauched in their manners, they will sink underneath their own weight without the aid of foreign invaders.
My goodness, isn't that good?
Yeah, she is just phenomenal. What an outstanding human being.
Every time I talk to her, she has more nuggets that are like so uplifting, and it gives you hope. And in the vein and light of health, hope, and freedom, we're always going to come back with these segments from Kris Ann Hall because it's the foundations of our freedom that are based in faith. And when you understand those connections right there, we can truly have hope. Check out this segment from our friend, Kris Ann Hall.
The God who gave us life gave us liberty at the same time. So if you're going to be in this, you got to be in it to the end. And the only way you can do that is if you are filled with the Spirit, filled with truth, and filled with courage.
Well, folks, welcome back again to our governmental educational segment of our teaching here on the television show Furthermore. So we want to take you further and make sure you know more in order to get through life appropriately and not just survive, but to thrive. And knowing how to become self-governing is important. And we're going to bring back our special dear friend, Kris Ann Hall, to take us further into some governmental constitutional education. She is the one and only constitutional attorney for me. So here you go again. Welcome back, Kris Ann.
Oh, it's my pleasure. And thank you everybody for joining us. I'm so grateful for this series. It's so encouraging to see people wanting to know the Constitution and not just simply reading it, but really wanting to understand and possibly, well, I will say, and probably likely overturning a lot of the falsehoods that have been disseminated through American education for many years.
Well, it's fascinating, and I hope that the folks like me were blown away by our introduction a few weeks ago, because I told them they were going to be excited. I've been kind of setting this up for
a couple of weeks ahead of time, your first appearance a couple of weeks ago. But now we're back, and I want to get really into some actual teaching right now, and remind people again, as you begin to teach us, where they can reach you, how they get conducted and involved with your courses, books, movies, your new documentary coming out here in just next month, October. So here we are, just 1 month away. So keep this in mind, folks. Get involved in that. And with that said, Kris, then talk about the importance of knowing the Constitution and kind of why it's a big deal and what kind of is going wrong and went wrong in our world right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, our hub is krisannehall.com, and that's KrisAnnehall.com. And from that hub, you can find our other websites, libertyfirstsociety.com, where all our Constitution American history training exists. And these are online courses, learn at your own pace. We also have mechanisms within there to help you understand your learning progress. There's testing, there's downloadable PDF textbooks that go with this. So there are so many things that we have put into place at libertyfirstsociety.com to disciple you, if you will, in your understanding of the Constitution, because we believe that with knowledge comes the inspiration to action. Most people say knowledge is power. That's not actually true. Knowledge is only power once it's activated. And we have seen over the almost 13 years now that I've been traveling and teaching, and we've had this online forum, that once people really grab a hold of this education, they can't sit still. They can't sit by. And so maybe that should be my legal disclaimer. You can't unsee what you're about to learn. You will open your eyes to some things that maybe you thought you were already seeing, but we're going to show you the whole picture, right? So krisannehall.com, libertyfirstsociety.com. We have a podcast that we do during the week, and many other instruments of education out there for you to help you in advancing your understanding. Now, the first thing that I always do when I'm teaching, and you probably remember this when I was teaching my class there in Oklahoma, is I give a pop quiz question. Because one of my dear friends in New York, she's also a constitutional activist, and she really gave me some insight, the simplest things. And she said, Krisanne, the greatest impediment to our teaching is that the American people don't know what they don't know. And because the American people as a whole have spent a minimum of 12 years, 13 years of their life in school, we think we've learned a lot of things. And what we need to understand is there's still a great deal we don't know. And there's a great deal that we've been taught that simply isn't so. And so for nearly 13 years, we're coming up on 13 years now, I've been asking this pop quiz. There are 5 liberties in the First Amendment. Without using your search engine, without grabbing your pocket Constitution, without looking anywhere but the recall of your mind, name all 5 liberties of the First Amendment. And those who honestly accept that challenge, we know, statistically speaking, that 2% of the population or less can name all 5 liberties of the First Amendment. If you don't know what your rights are, how do you know they're not already gone? And how can you defend a right that belongs to you if you cannot define it? And here's the key in application, because we're all about to go to the polls. How do you vet whether someone is qualified? Because everyone who runs for office takes the oath. I do solemnly swear I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States. If they're on the state level, then they swear to support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of their state.
Mhm.
How do we vet whether these people are qualified or not if we ourselves don't know what our constitutions say? If you are among the 2% that can name all 5 liberties of the First Amendment, can you tell me the article, section, and even clause in your state constitution that holds the liberties identified in the First Amendment of the U.S. Constitution? Because you see, every state constitution has its own Declaration of Rights, its own Bill of Rights. And on the state level with state government, that's the law of the land. So the U.S. Constitution is the law of the Union, but the state constitution is the law of the land for your state. It is the supreme law of the land for your state. So in reality, there are 51 constitutions in America.
So next
Wow.
time, that's good. Well, furthermore, when do you set New Year's resolutions?
Yeah. Should we wait until New Year's Day to start a New Year's resolution?
I think we need to start right now.
Right now.
Today, right now. Just
Now's
like you're
the
right now. And
time.
furthermore, start your resolutions now.
And be resolved.
We cannot continue as we are. The trajectory of our nation is going in the wrong direction. It is not saved by the government. It's saved because the people are the government. They stand up and do the right things, regardless of the cost. I think of our founding fathers, the 56 people that signed the Declaration of Independence. 56, not 5,600. They had to have some courage and guts to put their lives on the line for the right things. Do we have that, folks? Do you have that? How many have that kind of courage?